All right, guys, welcome back to another interview. Today, I've got Ciara, who actually was just at our last event. So we were just catching up on that, where hopefully she'll come to our next event as well. I know she was, getting value from the day. So that was good. But yeah, we're going to do an interview basically breaking down where Ciara is at right now with social media marketing. This is something she's done really well with. So she's going to walk you through basically how she's gotten here, how she started, and really any other insights that she thinks is relevant. And that'll hopefully help you out. So Ciara, just for people who are tuning in, who are you? What do you do? And what should they know?
Right. Yeah, so I'm obviously Ciara. I'm from Meath in Ireland. I actually started my social media journey like almost 5 years ago now. It was a time when like nobody was working online, like working online was like a taboo thing, like nobody did it. So even when I was Googling like courses and mentors and things like that, like there was literally nobody. Like maybe it could have been 6 years ago when I was actually properly researching it. So I did a course with a VA academy, and became a virtual assistant. Realized I literally hated that, hated everything to do with admin. Like literally, no matter how much anyone was going to pay me, I didn't want to do it. So then I started doing social media. Started posting some bits on, yeah, I just started posting some bits on social media, made an Instagram page, and ended up really kind of luckily getting a couple of clients because yeah, I wasn't super experienced. Like I just
Mhm.
done some free work. Um, so yeah, then I was kind of building that myself for maybe 2 years. Um, and my main goal was literally just to get to 1500 and
Mhm.
move to Bali. But that's all I wanted to
Nice.
do. Yeah, I just didn't care about money. I didn't care about the 5K a month. I didn't care about
Mhm.
anything to do with that. And it was pretty naively because actually 1500 a month in Bali actually doesn't go that far.
Mm.
Like people think Bali's super cheap, but it's actually not that cheap. Like, so I was pure naively one-way flight to Bali and landed there, and I was like, okay, I actually need to make more money. Um, like, and that's when I found you guys. When I was living in Bali, so it's so crazy. I've been with you guys for years now, and yeah, it's like that whole thing started when I was in Bali. I was like, I just need to make more money. And I actually
Mhm.
had no lead generation system. I didn't, because all of mine had grown organically. So I was like, I don't even
Yeah.
get more clients.
For sure, for sure. I love the fact as well, like you just went for it, because most people would sit and think for a very, very long time before making the first leap, right? And especially then going to Bali and saying, "Hey, feck it, I'll go with my 1.5 a month, see where that brings me to." And you know what I mean? Here you are. So I guess
Yeah.
here for people that are, looking at doing something like this for the first time, obviously, like you said, you started 5, 6 years ago with that first kind of venture, right? The virtual assistant work. Like, I guess, what got you to do that in the first place? Because obviously that's a big leap from, the traditional path in Ireland anyway.
Yeah, it was like it started out as pure desperation. Like honestly, I just
Mm,
hated I was becoming a teacher, like I did a commerce
hmm
degree
hmm
and I thought my way to travel and like potentially work online was just to be a teacher and potentially teach English.
Yeah.
And my first day in the classroom, I was like, this is not my life. I actually can't do this. So then COVID hit, and luckily I was like unemployed. So, like, in hindsight, it was great. And
hmm
then I was like, this is my only chance now. And I did actually do a little bit of teaching English online, but like, you're only getting 4 hours a day, maybe €15 an hour.
hmm
So, it's not a sustainable lifestyle at all. So, that's kind of like, yeah, pure desperation of wanting to get out of the current situation.
Fair. Yeah, yeah. And like starting that off, did you find that quite easy to make that leap from, a teacher, right? Which is, like my two siblings are teachers, for them to
Right.
go and start a social media marketing business would be crazy. Like my parents would be very shocked, very much like, whoa, what are you doing? So like what was it like on that front, just with I guess friends, family, peers? Was it easy? Were people supportive or was there a bit
Yeah,
of a push?
yeah, I was a big like I was even just telling some of the girls at the mastermind the last day like the amount of sneering in Ireland like it's such a like like begrudging country like do you know what I mean
Yeah.
like, the amount of sneering that people had on me like that were like just it was constant like I because I'd be flat out doing videos like I was
Mhm.
really pushing it and nobody was doing it. Now it's actually so much not easier but like way more people are open to it like 'cause
Mhm.
everyone
Mhm.
works online, nobody was working online. So they were like, look at here, trying to like live, be a digital nomad. Like, Like it's actually so funny. Like my family are actually all really supportive, so
Hmm.
they're kind of like that. Like they did
Yeah.
have their concerns, like what about your pension, blah blah
Mhm.
blah. But like now it's all good.
For sure, for sure. I think that's the thing people need to know. Like, it's not going to be the easiest thing to tell your friends, family, or parents, that hey, I'm going to go do this thing, because like
Yeah.
you said, they're going to be thinking pension, long term security. Will you be fine in 10 years from now? What if the industry crashes? All this kind of stuff. So I think it's good for people to know that like that's the reality. You just got to push through that. So if
Mm,
you're going to start this and your partner or a friend or your parent is super doubtful, like kind of normal. Most
yeah.
people would be. So like, don't be shocked by that. And like you said, just push through. If you know
Yeah.
you want to do it, that's as simple as it gets. You got to just do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And once you actually make it, like when I was living in Bali on the laptop, like people were
Mm-hmm.
all to be like, "Oh, fair play." But I
Of
think you were talking about me
course.
like a year ago, girl. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's funny when you do make it. Then it's everyone's like, "Oh, well done," but it's like, yeah,
100%. 100%. I found the same, like my parents, it's not that they would have told me, like you can't do this, right? But very much, hey, it will probably be better to use your degree. Probably be better to just, get a safe job and just go with that route. And then
yeah,
once you start making some money and you can show them and the proof is there, obviously that changes, and they go, oh, okay, right. That's different now. We can actually see
yeah,
this can work.
yeah. It's a completely different time now as well. Everyone's kind of open to it because everyone's
Hmm.
a lot of people remote work.
For sure. COVID changed everything, it really,
Yeah.
really did. Like, because I started, I guess it probably would have been similar enough time to you, Ciara. Like, for me, it was 2019 ish, roughly, when I was getting started here. And I think the mad thing is, like, when I look back now, like you said, it is easier now. It genuinely is easier now. That's just like you said, the awareness in terms of telling people that's easier. In terms of actually getting clients, because like we just looked at, COVID changed everything. Businesses are
Yeah.
just so used to doing things online now. Whereas back then, there would still obviously be those companies you'd reach out to and they'd want to physically meet you. They'd want to meet up in person. They'd
Yeah.
only want to work with somebody local. Now it's like the norm,
Yeah.
even if you're from the same town as them, like we have people in the program that work with clients that are from the same town as them in Ireland, and they still haven't met them for the simple
Yeah.
reason it's just the way things work now. So
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
does make things easier where we're currently at. AI, the availability, all of that kind of
Yeah. Oh my
stuff.
God.
Big.
So much easier, like in so many ways, which is amazing. The bar, like a lot of people that want to get into it can.
Mm-hmm. 100%. 100%. And I guess just coming back to that thing here, anything for that person who is trying to make that leap, just that initial, I guess like some of the things you wish you knew before you made the leap.
Mm,
Because again, for a lot of people, that's the hardest thing to do is to make the leap. It's they
yeah.
know they want to do it. They've been watching people, they've seen people like you do it, and they're like, I want to do it, I want to do it. They just don't do it. So like what do you
Yeah.
feel would be the advice you'd give to that person who knows they want to do something like this, is scared, is doubtful, and just needs to get to that point where they're ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I suppose like if you go down the traditional path of just getting a job, like your learning curve in any new job you go for, it's going to be the
Mm-hmm.
exact same. And like if you mess up on that job, like your references are gone. Whereas like if something does happen with a client, like you can just get another, like you can just pitch another
Mm-hmm.
client,
Mm-hmm. True.
whereas a job's actually way more scarier because you're stuck in that job. And if you mess up there, like that's your whole 9 to 5, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Whereas actually you don't have that with this because you might work at 10 clients, 20 clients, whatever it is. Even five is
Mm-hmm.
like way more flexibility.
That's a great point. Great point. Something that we don't touch on enough. So even for me in our marketing, I should definitely touch on
Yeah,
that
no,
point.
100%.
It's
I
a
only
great
had that
point.
realization recently, like, because literally every morning I wake up, I'm still like, I can't believe this is my life. But I'm like, it actually is so crazy. Like, it's still so, I'm still so grateful for it all the time because I'm like, the opposite is you're 9 to 5 every day. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what's scarier than that? Like, that's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. And I think if it like that, if you can really lean into that of, you know, two visions, my dream life, the other vision, what you just mentioned, maybe a 9 to 5 or a setup that you don't particularly love. Like which of those is going to be scarier? Okay, yes, the initial jump for starting your own thing is scary. But hey, 20 years in that thing that you currently hate, that sounds like that's terrifying. That
Yeah,
would
like,
that would keep me awake at night.
That literally, I actually used to visualize that and just be like, it would wake me up in the middle of the night out of fear. And I was like, I need to pitch to more people. Like, what's going on?
So it's a good, yeah, it's a good fear though. Like you used it in the right way, used it and
Yeah.
pushed through, and here you are. And here, so just to give people then kind of like modern day where you at with this. Obviously, like you said, this is your full time thing. You obviously have those pinch me moments of pretty much every morning waking up and doing this. In terms of like money, when did things really change for you? Because I know you said kind of around that 1,500 a month. You went to Bali, then realized I need more money, right? It's actually, I'm going to need some more here, maybe 2.5 to comfortably live. Where are you at now with that? And then where do you feel like you had kind of the biggest change? Because I think people always have an image of maybe 10,000 a month. And for me, I think 5,000 a month was when things changed the most, because
Mm.
that was like way more than I was going to make in a job when I was straight out of college. And it was enough for me to have that extra bit of freedom, do the extra
Yeah.
things you wanted to do. Um, but yeah, curious, what was that kind of like for you?
Yeah, so in Bali, like when I joined your course and like any course I joined previously, they're always like post more content, do more things like that. But like you can post all the content you want, but if you're not reaching out to businesses, like you're not gonna
Mm-hmm,
get people. So when I was in Bali, I just wanted websites, like and a little bit of social media marketing
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because with the website, I just get paid and then I could keep traveling. Like money wasn't
mm-hmm.
like the main goal, but like I was stressing because I needed to survive. Um, so I was literally reaching out to, I think it was like 100 businesses a day. Um, I was literally on Zoom calls in like a hostel, like buckets on top of each other with a laptop, like
Nice.
3 a.m., like their time. And then I started getting more sales. So then I
Mm-hmm,
was around the 2.5, 3K mark. And I was comfortable at that for
mm-hmm,
a long time because then I moved to Thailand and Vietnam.
mm-hmm,
I wanted to live like freely and it was loads to live over there.
mm.
But
Yeah.
now, obviously, I kept traveling for the guts of 2 years. Then I moved home last year, and I just started scaling the business again. So like currently, I'm last month was around a 6K a month mark,
Mm-hmm.
and then next month, like the cash collected is around 8.5. Um,
Nice.
so and then I have two more clients ready to sign over the line that'll bring it up to the 10K. So. Yeah, it's just when you put in the work, I wasn't really reaching out to businesses because I wanted that freedom. But once you do, it's a numbers game, really.
100%. 100%. I think that's really good for people to know, because again, a lot of people starting with this, they don't want to post, right? They want to maybe keep it a bit more private, like that get clients where you reach out directly and not necessarily have it advertised on your own social media. I know for a lot of people, that's a big reason why they won't start, because they'll
Mm,
assume the only way is to post. And like you said, posting is fantastic. Like that's definitely going to speed up the journey. If you're posting content of you talking about social media marketing and how you can help businesses, it's only going to help, right? It's not going to detract from your success. But on the flip of that, like you said, it really comes down to contacting, actually finding
yeah,
businesses, contacting them. So that's why we have people in the program that have never posted, probably never will. And they've 200 followers on their Instagram and they keep it private for their friends and family, because they're just going direct to businesses.
yeah, yeah,
But then if somebody is looking to post, I think it's great that they also know that like you shouldn't just post. You can't just post
yeah,
content and think that businesses are going to find you, come to you and pay for your stuff. That can happen, but typically only when you're, getting videos that are really reaching a very, very wide audience, and
mm,
going quite viral. So that's
yeah,
definitely good for people to know.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like you need to be reaching out on any level because once you're just one step ahead of the person you're pitching to, that's just the
Mm-hmm.
main thing. And most people in the course will be.
For sure. For sure. And again, that's another big misconception, right? Is that like, hey, I'm a beginner. I've never done marketing before. How can I go and sell my services to this business owner? But as you said, if you're one step ahead of that business owner, of course you can sell services to them.
Yeah,
Obviously, we're not saying you're going to go and pitch Nike or bloody
yeah,
Adidas to do their marketing. They're going to look for people with 30, 40 years experience, most likely, right?
yeah,
Someone at a very, very high level. We're looking for that small business. They might just be new enough. Maybe they've never done social media before, like you would have experienced with websites as well. Maybe they never had a website. They just needed someone to get something set up. They don't need the fanciest site in the entire world. They just need something that's functional. It works, easy to use, and it gives customers what they want.
yeah, exactly,
For
exactly.
sure. for sure. And for those two services, thank you. How would you, I guess, if you were to go back in time, would you change anything or would you still offer the websites? Because obviously that's kind of like more of your one-time service. You get paid, you build it, and that's kind of it. Whereas social media, of course, is that recurring service. Okay, something that we do every single month. Would you change anything, or would you do the two of them if you're starting again from zero?
I'd probably stick with social media. The recurring, like the ones off website is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of things can be kind of like if you're building a WordPress, it can be a little bit tricky as well. So like
Yeah.
there's a lot of unnecessary headache that comes with
Mm-hmm.
that. But social media, like if you just have like I've my very first client from 5 years ago is like still with me. So like if you
Amazing.
have, yeah, if you have those base clients, you know what your income is every month. So, but if you're selling just websites, it's a constant sales process.
Yeah. That's the thing. And I'd say like when you were starting, say about websites, because I know I sold a couple of funnels. So, just like say a click funnels, like that, a type of a website. For people listening, if you're new, it's a type of website. That's all you need to know. But I know the dopamine hit from those sales was huge because it was like,
Yeah.
1K, 2K. And I'm like, fuck, that's me for the month sorted. But like you said, then it's done. And then I'm like, right, okay, what's next? I gotta now
Yeah.
find new money essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And you can upsell them then on social media and that type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Maybe not all businesses want that after
Of
the website.
course.
They just need the website. Their lead flow is already fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell me, lessons from I guess a 5 year client, because I've personally, the longest I had a client in my agency was about 2 years. We actually let them go because, like, when we started, I was very hands on and they never wanted us to not be hands on. So
Right.
at a point, it was like we cannot keep doing it at this level.
Right.
Um, but yeah, 5 years, that's amazing. That obviously shows that you're doing a great job. But I guess any lessons that you've taken from how do you actually keep a client for 5 years?
Yeah. I suppose the main thing for me, like my client retention is high.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing is even though I build quite a personal, not personal relationship, but like I am I would know a lot about their lives nearly.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't actually take up that much of my time. It's just been that consistency over the years.
Mm,
Like me to do their content now might take me 15 minutes to do a post.
yeah.
So it's actually not taking that long for me to do it, but they're so loyal because I'm consistent and I have been consistent for all that time. And if there was something that they needed, maybe like urgently or that type of thing, if I can do it, I'll do it. But we also have that boundary where they really respect me. They're like, if you can't do it, please just tell me you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like yeah, on like say for example, they're on like a much lower retainer than some of
Mm-hmm.
my more recent clients, but they're so consistent that I know I can rely on them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a few of those, and I think it is worth putting your time into the long-term clients. Like they still get treated the same as a client paying me 1,500 a month.
Yeah.
Um, and that's just there's pros and cons to both. Obviously, you want
Mm-hmm.
those high retainers, but you that to have that baseline income where you know what's coming in every single month, like that's amazing.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Those high paying clients are obviously fantastic, but at the same time, if it's a higher payment, there's more expectation normally. If
Yes.
like that, you've had that client for 5 years, the relationship is solid, the proof, the trust, everything is there. So like as long as you basically keep doing what you're doing, there's no reason for them to go and jump ship.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
reality. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
something I'd love to get your thoughts on, Kira, is again, a lot of people when they start off think, okay, well, let's say, I work with Adam and the guys or whatever, or I do some other program, right? And I learn enough about social media marketing to feel kind of that base confidence to go and offer the services, right? But then the next doubt comes in when they start reaching out to companies where they're like, but like, what am I actually going to do? Like, what strategies am I going to use? What tactics do I do? How do I create the content? And like, what if my content doesn't get results? What if I'm managing their page and they get 30 new followers this month and next month we get 10, what would be your thoughts on that? Because I definitely had clients in my agency where they weren't there for the results. They were there for the convenience. They just wanted it to be done. If we got them results, fantastic. But that was the icing on top. The cake was, right, lads, get it sorted, handle our social
Yeah.
media, post, be consistent. What have you found from, 5 years plus in this game? working with clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's clients there where like we'd have maybe a monthly or bi-monthly call, and in the
Hmm.
back of my head I'm like, right, this is probably the end of it. And they're
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm
Hmm.
so happy. Like, oh my God. But it's that consistency. Like now I'm so used to it that I'm like, I don't even really look at follower count.
Hmm.
Um, with certain clients, like if it's obviously if I do like Facebook ads, Google ads, that type of thing as well, they're different. But for just social media, like the majority of people, they want to be online. Their competitors are online. It's just purely brand awareness that a lot of them
For
need.
sure. Yeah.
And there's different things like, you know what I mean, getting them to do a bit of personal content. Like you're not there to necessarily grow 10,000 followers. You're there to make sure they're active when a
Hmm.
potential customer looks them up. So yeah, I would say 90% of clients are just happy with that.
100%. Love that. Love that. It's so good to hear that because like that's something like we always mention that to people, of course, because for me that was the reality. Yes, we had those clients that came in and on day one they're like, right, guys, this is our target, this is the
Yeah.
KPIs we need to hit, and if we don't get that, we're gonna have to look elsewhere. And we worked with some clients like that, but the
Mhm.
majority were, like you said, clients that just needed it done, wanted
Yeah.
convenience. We get results, fantastic, but like that, if Johnny, types in gym in his local area and we're one of the gyms, we want to make sure that we're the most consistent. We're always posting, we're top of mind for people. If they message the page, they'll get a response because that's what actually makes money.
Well,
That will
exactly.
make that business more money.
Yeah, and you could have 20,000 followers and like maybe only 200 of them are actually engaging. Like
Yeah.
I've had a couple of clients like that, and as I always say to them, I'm like, look, I can get you 10,000 followers tomorrow. It's not going
Mm-hmm.
to be ethical and it's not going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
going to be real. But if you want it, it can happen. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm going to do it, but it means nothing. You're not going to get
Mm-hmm.
any sales.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something where, if a business is brand new to social media, they might need to be educated on that specific piece because they just see the numbers and think, right, more
Yeah.
followers is more growth, means bigger business. But like there are cases where you could have a client that, like you said, has 20,000 followers already. We might gain them no followers. Like
Mm,
we might gain a few each month, lose a few. So the net result is zero every month. But if we're actually posting the right content that the audience does want to see, and like that, we're pushing promotions to products, services they offer, they might end that month, like you said, being delighted, going, yeah, great, we sold X number of this thing and we've made this amount. And you were
yeah.
thinking, oh no, we haven't grown any followers.
I know, yeah. And you'll be in your head for ages about it. Like before a meeting, you'd be like, right, they're definitely going to give out now. And then they're like super happy. You're like, great.
For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Now that's definitely great for people to hear, from someone like yourself that's had not just a couple of clients, but like years in the game.
Hmm.
Something I'd love your thoughts on then, Ciara, is like long term. A lot of people right now are seeing AI and they're going, oh, that's it, done. Social media marketers will be replaced tomorrow. Content creations all over. You probably know my take on this, but I'm curious where just the clients you've dealt with so far. If you're using any AI, like where do you see things going? Let's say in the next year or so. Do you think
Mm.
it's going to be easier for people to do social media marketing? Will it be harder? Where do you think we're going to be?
Yeah, I think we're at a point now where ChatGPT, all that is the rage. But in a year, I find even now, if I see a caption for an ad written, I know it's written by ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just writing it off my mind.
Yeah.
I think that's only gonna get worse. Like I think it's gonna come back now it's at a peak and it's gonna come back down because especially in marketing, people don't want to buy from AI bots. Like
Yeah.
that's just what it is. Marketing is kind of sales, so you can't be selling from using AI. I think there's that. But is that what's your take on it?
Same. Where, like, I do think people are still going to use the tools. So, for example, if we look at ChatGPT and that, like, I use them, even say for my personal brand, we use them a lot. But
Yeah.
we humanize it. We add
Yes.
that extra touch. We make sure, for example, if I go to ChatGPT and say, hey, give me an idea for a TikTok video about marketing. I don't just say that because that will just be generic. That'll be a
Mhm.
script that probably 1,000 other people also got from ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll personalize it, and I'll give maybe scripts of 10 other videos I've recorded and say, hey, here's 10 of my scripts. Now create a new script based off of that.
Right.
So what it's
Okay.
doing is it's really just modeling my scripts. You get me? So it's like, yes, we're using AI, but it's just essentially condensing down what might take me 30 minutes to go and look through 10 scripts and kind of figure out, ooh, what angle could we use here? And it's just going to learn that in like 30 seconds and give back something that, again, is decent. But again, that last piece is always putting the human touch. Like the script might be
Yes.
good, but I want it to be real. I want it to be me. I don't want it to sound like to sound like an AI, because yeah, again, nobody really buys from that. And that's
No.
why that
Yeah.
can't really replace marketing, you know?
No, definitely. Even with content, like a lot more content is turned a little bit more personal. So
Yeah,
it's always going to be that, like in terms of social media marketing, like, and plus business owners, even though you can use ChatGPT, they're not going to have the time to go and
for
test
sure.
all these different things on AI.
Exactly. Exactly. Again, like the learning curve there is, it's not incredibly steep, but like that, to use ChatGPT well, you don't just go and prompt it and say, hey, give me ideas, because it will be
Yeah.
generic stuff that you won't use. So again, great point. Is that business owner? I always give that stat. Like when you look on Google, the average you can find is business owners being around 51 years old. That's like the average stat.
Mhm.
And I just think of the average 51-year-old, and I'm just like, would the 51-year-old I know, let's say my uncle, understand how to use ChatGPT? And then, like you said, actually spend the time to use it
Mm.
every day to be like, hey, give me a script for a video. And then
Yeah,
him
yeah,
record that video and then him edit that video. No,
yeah.
it's just not going to happen.
No, no, no. It's not going to happen. Like that's it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ciara, advice for people starting off. I'd love just to see if you've anything, again, just kind of top of mind. Because again, super scary for people to go and do that, make that first leap. Obviously, now you're living proof. You took
Mm,
the leap, you traveled the world, you've spent years living like the digital nomad lifestyle. You've done all the things that a lot of people would see and go, that's what I want to do.
mm.
Big thing is they don't have that courage yet, to go and make the leap. But just some practical advice you'd have for that person who's just trying to get started.
Yeah, fair. So like what I find now, even what 5 years in, like there's always going to be hard days. Like no matter what level
For
you're at,
sure.
it's not always going to be easy. And like whether that's you're afraid of like pitching to your first client or
Mm-hmm.
selling a much larger package when you're a couple of years on, you'll always have that fear.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, you're going to have that fear in your job anyway. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I just think there's only two options, like your job or this, and both bring up the same anxiety. Like you having to call in sick to your boss, like that is so anxiety inducing. Like, is it actually worse to just chat to a local business owner and say, this is what you're doing? Like, and you can just be honest as well. Like, if it is your local town you're starting, and you can just say, look, I'm starting this up. I've been working at it for quite a while, but I'm going public with it now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, and what is the worst that can happen? Like, what they don't like a post. Like, no one's
Yeah.
dying. Like, you're not killing anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's always going to just different. There's always going to be different levels to it, and it's always going to feel hard certain days. But
Mm-hmm.
at least the days that it's not like that, you're on a beach in Bali or you're
Yeah.
living your life. Yeah, the freedom
100%.
is unmatched. Yeah.
100%. Love that. And just for people then that want to find, say, your content here, where can they find you? What's the best place, and what's your username?
Yeah, it's CC Virtual Solutions, mainly Instagram. It's my main platform. I do actually post quite a bit there, when I'm consistent with it. I find getting content up in that and actually doing outreach from that helps me. I know a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
do personal brand, but I suppose I have years of content there so they can see that
Mm-hmm.
it's in the game for quite a while. Um,
Nice. Yeah.
but yeah, that's where people can find me if they want to reach out. Any questions? And like the other thing is like I've done so many courses over the years, and like I know someone mentioned before it's about you and Ty that like you have been the most consistent, like more consistent than any relationships. Like, and I honestly relate to that so much. Like, I feel like you guys have been there for all layers of my life, like from living in Bali at like 1,500 a month to like nearly
Mm.
getting the 10K a month. And like, these are just so consistent. Like, I've done so many courses on different things, and there's literally nothing out there like this. Like, it's just crazy. I actually don't know how you guys do it. It's
Well,
wild.
I appreciate that feedback for sure. Always
Yeah.
nice to hear. I know that'll put a smile on Ty's face as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
wild.
it's, yeah, for people listening, how are we so consistent, and that, right? Answer that question. Well, it's simple. Like for us, the goal is not just to sell you a course, and you get these videos and you watch the videos, and then we just say, cool, good luck, happy days, go figure it out. Because I just don't believe that works. You have to have guidance. You have to have people that actually have done what you're trying to do. You're following from them. but people you can just ask questions to. As you might have seen, Kira, like a big part is just you might have a little doubt, you ask a question, boom, we can chat about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to get that answer yourself. You might find it online, whatever. But it's that consistency that we find that really drives results. So that's why we
Yeah,
do what we do.
definitely. And like you actually care. Like there's so many courses there that like, you might tell them something next month and they'll be like, they won't remember what it was.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I'll be chatting to him. It's like it's a genuine care for the students that is like I haven't seen on any other course that I've ever done. And I've spent a lot of money in courses, just
Mm.
always trying to like see what everyone else is doing. Was there
Hmm.
something
Hmm.
in the market that I'm missing? And there just hasn't been anything like this. And you're there for each step as well. Like if you do a 12-week course, after the 12 weeks, you're going to face a new challenge. Like
Yeah.
how do I manage five clients instead of one? And that person's gone. And what you're going
Yeah.
to pay another 3 grand to like sign up with them again.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Again, this is something, you're at 5 clients, you need help. You're at 10 clients, you probably need help. You're at 20 clients, probably need help. There's always levels to it. So yeah, super good to hear that, Kira. Appreciate the insights as well. For everybody watching, obviously go ahead, give Kira's Instagram a follow. Drop her a message if you found this valuable, because obviously she's after taking 30 minutes out of her Friday to do this with us. So let her know if it was valuable. And yeah, Kira, really appreciate you coming on. That was great.
Yeah. No, thanks a million. Yeah, I'm glad if any value is there. And yeah, anyone can message me any questions at all. I'm always open.